This segment is brought to you by Jig Masters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
Welcome to the Bass, Kayak, and Beers podcast on the Paddle and Fin Network. On this podcast, we'll be talking about life and kayak fishing. Every week, we'll have a special guest, whether it's a tournament angler, a content creator, or just a regular guy or girl who just loves to go kayak fishing. So grab a cold beer, sit back, and enjoy the show. Bass, Kayak, and Beers is sponsored in part by Douglas Rod. Go to douglasoutdoors.com to check out their full lineup and locate your nearest authorized dealer. All right, welcome to the Bass, Kayak, and Beers segment on the Paddle and Fin Network. Today, I finally got one of my favorite professional kayak anglers out there. His name is Guillermo Gonzalez. Guillermo, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty well, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. It's been an adventure trying to get both of us to record. If people only knew all the stuff we've gone through to get here, but we're finally here. Hopefully we can make it to the end. I appreciate you taking the time.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you.
All right. So, Guillermo, tell us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know you.
Well, a lot of people wonder where I'm from with the name Guillermo. I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I grew up in Miami, Florida, and that's where I really learned about fishing and just became obsessed with it. From there, I went to college at TCU in Fort Worth, and it was at that point that I really started considering, fishing competitively. I joined the TCU bass fishing team and had a lot of fun doing those tournaments with my buddy Joseph, and that's really also where I started fishing kayak tournaments competitively. I fished this little trail starting I think in 2013 called the NTKT that was run by a guy named Robbie Milam.
Yeah,
and it was there that I really became kind of obsessed with doing kayak tournaments. I thought it was so much fun,
Yeah, I noticed, and I noticed that you picked up that Texan accent real quick, man. You sound full-flooded Texan here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard not to pick it up, to be quite honest.
I know. I moved from Puerto Rico about 10 years ago, and it's slowly creeping in, and hey, no shame on it, man. I love Texas. Was it hard for you?
Sure.
Was it hard for you to adapt from living in the Caribbean to living in Texas? Because it's completely different from one point to another.
To be honest, I don't feel like it was really all that hard,
Right.
Because, coming from, a place like, being born in Puerto Rico and growing up in Miami, there's a lot of people in Miami and Puerto Rico with very strong personalities. And I feel like I kind of encounter the same thing here. You have strong personalities and very hospitable people. So, I mean, it really, while it was definitely a different culture, I feel like it wasn't, the transition really wasn't all that difficult.
Yeah, I think also for my generation, like I grew up in that cable TV generation where cable TV just started. And I loved to watching like cowboys and Indian shows and movies. So to me, moving here was kind of like, yeah, that's all the stuff that I grew up with, cowboys, Texas, and all that, and cattle drives and all that. So that's pretty cool, man. Texas is a great place to live, definitely. Especially if you love bass fishing, right?
No kidding.
So Guillermo, talking about your career as a professional kayak angler, now you really made a name for yourself, not just on the water, but off the water. I've talked to a lot of local anglers here and a lot of anglers nationwide that compete in nationwide tours, just like yourself, like, for example, the Hobie BOS. And a lot of them have a great respect and hold you at a very high opinion. Catherine Fields, name one of them. Over here locally, I've fished with Ross Pinkerton, and he does great things about fishing with you. What do you attribute to that, having all that love and respect for all those people out there, and what does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, it honestly, it means a lot to me. I really love this sport, and one of the things that I enjoy about this sport is the people, you know. I started fishing in kayak tournaments to compete, but and I still fish in kayak tournaments to compete. But I mean, another huge part of why I fish tournaments now is not just to compete, but to get together with all these people from all over the country that, you know, we share this common bond for competitive bass fishing. And it's really hard to describe. You know, I've fished in a lot of boat tournaments before, and it's a very different the way everyone conducts themselves is different. And I'm not saying it's bad, it's just different. And I'm really a big fan of how it works in our kayak fishing scene, you know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know you always kind of like tread on like what we're gonna say because we don't want to offend anybody, but I understand what you're saying, and I'll say what maybe you're not saying, but at least my feel of it, it's nothing against boat fishermen and basketball fishermen, but I mean, a lot of times in the tournament, there's fishing for high stakes, and it's a lot more expensive to fish on a tournament like that than it is on a kayak tournament. And I think that camaraderie in the kayak fishing tournament tends to be a little more of getting along in this tight group of people that really like the sport, where I think bass fishing tends to be a little bit more competitive because the stakes are higher, maybe the money is there in a big way, both in the investments and the winning. And you know, when it comes to that, it could get a little bit more competitive than it does in the kayak fishing.
Yeah, and you know, to be honest, I mean, from my perspective, because I mean, the stakes in kayak fishing are starting to get pretty high.
Yep.
But I think one of the things that makes kayak fishing special is that for whatever reason, I can't explain it, this sport is blessed with some really good people.
Yes.
There's a lot of people in the community that are out here to support each other, to help each other. And like I said, it's hard to describe. And the only way that I know how is that we're blessed with really good people all around us. And it's, you know, for that reason, I just I can't see myself ever quitting this sport, you know?
No, definitely. I think it's more grass rooted, the sport, and just because, again, it's like you said, the stakes are not higher and other stuff. And definitely, you're one of those people that are contributing to keeping that healthy environment. There's a lot of great anglers out there, Catherine Fields, Jackson Orr, and I'm sure I'm leaving out hundreds of them that really also keep that camaraderie and that healthy, you know, atmosphere in the kayak fishing community going. And big props to you for what you've done and the respect that you've earned off the water. Talking about on the water, I noticed that you got 6 on the KBN standings, which to me, it's really legit standings because they're based more than anything on numbers and not a popularity contest. How do you feel with that 6th place ranking that you got?
Well, I gotta say, I didn't expect to get the 6th place ranking. You know, I look back on my year, and I guess the reason I ended up ranking as high as I did was, you know, I didn't have that many great tournaments, but I didn't really have very many bad tournaments, if that makes sense. I had a few tournaments where I found myself pretty often kind of having to save my day, where the day didn't start anywhere near like I planned it, and I had to kind of make a lot of adjustments and just try to figure out how to put a limit in the boat. And most of the time I was able to figure that out. And man, some of those times I don't even know how I was able to figure that out, but I did, and I'm happy for it because it definitely paid off in the long run, you know, with the higher finish in the standings.
What do you attribute so far your success at the kayak fishing community? Is it simple as just time on the water and experience, or do you think there's other factors that have helped you grown as a kayak angler?
Well, for me, you know, back when I was in college, I made it a point to become the most versatile angler that I could. I wanted to literally learn how to do everything. And I never really, I still don't know how to do everything, but I feel like I learned how to do everything pretty well. And as a result, I definitely have strengths and I have weaknesses, but I feel like I can put myself in any situation and kind of put something together. Now, the downside to that is every time I go out and fish a tournament, I got to have 13 rods in my boat, to make sure that I got everything I need. But really, versatility is what I kind of pride myself on, and that's what I try really hard to be in the sport, is versatile. Because I think if you're versatile and you can do a lot of things, you can come out of some bad scenarios and still end up putting 5 in the boat.
Yeah, that is a good point. Trying not to stay one-dimensional. I hear a lot of guys saying, well, I'm a finesse fisherman or a power fisherman, and I'm relatively new to the sport, but I don't ever want to feel like I have to choose describing myself between one and another. And I think that's very important for people that are, even if it's just recreational, you're not really competing. I think it's important to kind of branch out and learn different techniques and be comfortable at least different scenarios out there, whether it's summer, winter, whether it's high pressure, whether it's clear water or muddy water. You want to feel comfortable fishing in every environment. I think that's the key, again, personally, to enjoy it and also competitively.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you feel has been like your signature win? Like you mentioned last year, you didn't have this great results, but you didn't have this bad results. What to you has been throughout your career your biggest win?
Man, that's a really great question. And it's a hard thing to answer for me, but because there's been so many that have meant so much to me, and I know, but I think if I had to pick one, it was when I won the Cats Angler of the Year championship. That was, the catch trail is insanely competitive. You're getting back in that year, we were getting, the attendance was anywhere between 130 and 170 people per tournament. And the year before, I had finished second place by just, I don't remember how much it was exactly, but it was, if I remember correctly, it was like 2 or 3 points to Greg Blanchard. And I really wanted to win it the next year, and I worked hard and I got it done, and that meant a lot to me. That's
awesome. Do you feel like there's a signature win for you out there that you want to accomplish, like maybe like the Hobie, whether it's Hobie BOS or any big name tournament in like what we call the big three, KBF, Bassmaster now, Bass Nation, and now and Hobie. Any tournament out there that you have circled on your calendar that you wanted to be like for this year, like your signature win?
Well, I mean, that one's pretty easy to answer. I mean, at the signature win that I think everybody's after, that is competitive in this game is to win the Hobie BOS Tournament of Champions. There's no doubt that even qualifying for that tournament is no walk in the park. Just getting there, and then once you're there, having the opportunity to win that tournament would be huge. And I hope someday I get that opportunity. I haven't quite had that luck yet, but I'm going to keep working hard, and I'm looking forward to continuing to fish the Hobie BOS trail, and I think I can get it done one of these days.
Yeah, definitely, man. You're up there with some of the best. So it wouldn't surprise anybody, wouldn't shock anybody for you to win something like the TOC. Now, you also, if I'm not mistaken, you also are taking part in the Bassmaster Classic as far as the kayak series goes this year, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to it on Lake Louisville now in June.
In June, yeah. Let me put you on the spot a little bit. I know a lot have been said about Lake Louisville, and you and I are both from Fort Worth, and we all have an opinion on what the lake is and what it's not. How do you feel about the Bassmaster, that particular, just because it's the kind of the signature Bassmaster Classic being at that lake? Are you okay with it? Are you happy with it, or are you disappointed with it?
I think it's going to work out just fine. Lake Louisville is, I think it's a good lake. I was pretty excited when they first announced that it was going to be on Lake Louisville in March. So I'm pretty stoked about it. Now, make no mistake, June is going to be a more difficult time of the year to fish Lake Louisville. There's going to be a lot of recreational traffic, and we're definitely going to have to take safety precautions to make sure that everybody's safe on the water. But from my perspective, everybody that is going to make that classic tournament has experience on the water and knows how to conduct themselves in a safe manner. And I think we're going to have a good, safe tournament. And Lake Louisville has a lot of really big fish. Real big ones get caught.
Yeah, definitely. Lake Louisville is an interesting lake. It's a big lake. I think logistically it's going to work great. Looking at it from the standpoint of Steve Owens as director, Lake Louisville makes sense. It is also, like you said, a city lake, so it's going to be full with a lot of skiers and jet skis and all that. So yeah, definitely safety is going to play a big part or big role in how you fish, where you target, and taking the extra measures. Whereas a lake like Lake Ray Roberts, which is where the bass board tournament I think is going to take place, that's more of a country lake where there's not really a lot of joyriders. It's more like either bass board or kayak anglers fishing on that one.
Yeah, there's no doubt Lake Louisville is going to be a little bit of a wave pool, but everybody that's in this tournament has fished in that scenario before, and you make the best of it, and it's going to be fine. I think, like I said, I think some really big fish are going to get caught, and and the best man's going to win. It's going to be a tough tournament. It's going to be a grind, but grinders are exciting, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Definitely. Other than the TLC, if you qualify this year, and pretty sure you're going to qualify, and the and you already qualified for the Bassmaster Classic, what other tournaments have you circled on your calendar that you feel like you can either take the win or you really want to pick up a win there?
Well, I know that KBF is doing a trail event on the Trinity River.
Yep. So
that's pretty exciting because that's in the backyard. I mean, when I was in college, I used to go and fish the Trinity just after class or before class. And to get the opportunity to fish a national kayak tournament on the Trinity River, I think is pretty dang cool. But another thing that I'm excited about is we have a new Texas trail this year called the TKC. And it looks like it's going to be kind of like a little bit of a higher stakes Texas-wide state trail, and the lakes that they chose are incredible. And some of these lakes are lakes we've never been to that are amazing lakes. And so I have a few of those on my calendar. Specifically, there's one on Lake Amistad, and there's one on Hubbard Creek that I'm hoping to make.
Yeah, I saw this. I've been looking at that schedule, and I like it because it's everywhere. It's not just North Texas or East Texas or West Texas. It's pretty much everywhere, all the way from Amistad to, like you said, Hubbard. We got Fayetteville. We got a bunch of lakes that are really interesting because it's not the typical lakes that you see at the local trails around here. And the fact that it just covers Texas from one side to another, I think it's pretty awesome. I'm excited about that. Don't know how much of those I can take part of, but it's definitely an exciting tournament that's coming up this year here in Texas.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that. So I don't know what the first one I'm going to make is, but I'm really looking forward to it. I know the guys that are running it and the guys that are setting it up, and they're all guys that have participated in every kayak fishing trail imaginable in Texas. So they know kayak fishing, they know kayak tournaments, and you put all those great minds together and they're going to put on a good tournament.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm looking forward to that one. Now, speaking about other things other than kayak fishing. I know you are like an avid outdoorsman. You'd love to do a bunch of other stuff other than kayak fishing. I know you got tour guides, or you host tour for fishing. You got red fishing up in Louisiana, Mississippi. You got fly fishing tour guides. You got a whole bunch of things you got going for yourself. Tell me a little bit about the guided trails that you are running this year, and how can people get more information on it and sign up for them?
Yeah, so I host trips with a company called Backwoods Adventures, and every year I host several other trips. And my calendar with them is not out yet, but their calendar for their trips is. And you can expect that this year I will probably be hosting a trip to the Devil's River.
Nice.
I will probably be hosting a trip to the Chandelier Islands, and I will possibly be hosting a second trip to Louisiana to Cocodrie for bull reds, as well as a trip to Alaska.
Nice. So, fly fishing?
Yeah. So while my calendar is not officially out on which trips I'm going to be hosting, all those trips are going to be on the calendar. And as soon as I find out what trips I'm going to be hosting, I'll be sure to post it up on my Facebook and Instagram page.
Yeah, let us know. Share the link so we can spread the word. I know you've hosted last year of quite a few of them, and I've heard great reviews about it. I'm planning to attend some of them. I was on my calendar. I'm waiting for you, when your schedule comes out. But Chandelier's Island is one of them. Me and my brother-in-law want to do, and Devil's River is another one that I'm really interested on. Where can people right now find more information about those guided tours that are available?
I believe it's backwoods.com/backwoodsadventures, or if you just go to backwoods.com, there will be a Backwoods Adventures tab on the homepage, and that has information on all the trips that we run.
Awesome. Now, for those that want to join those trails, I know it's primarily fly fishing, but do you have to be a fly fisherman to be on those trails, or can you take any other equipment other than fly fishing?
No, you can take other equipment for sure, especially the Chandelier trip is actually, most of the people that go on that trip are actually not fly fishermen. I always like to take fly rods because I really enjoy to fly fish, but a lot of the people that go on that trip are not fly fishermen. And then beyond that, Backwoods Adventures also hosts hiking and backpacking trips all over the country and even outside of the country.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about the Backwoods is their prices, and I'm not promoting them because I don't work for Backwoods, you do, but so I'm saying it from my perspective. I think the prices, especially on the Chandelier Islands, I was talking over with my brother-in-law who wants to go, and we thought the prices are amazing. I mean, we also, I wasn't sure because I've never done one of those, but I was talking to one of our new hosts on the Paddle and Fin that does also fly fishing guided tours, and I was comparing the prices with him. He says, no, man, those prices are legit. I mean, great bargains for it. The Chandelier Island, I thought it was a great price, and the Devil's River and all of them, I think they're very affordable, especially what you're getting out of it. The meals and accommodations on the ones that are multiple days. I think the price is more than fair. No,
absolutely. And I'm looking forward to, I hope that you get to come along on one of these trips, and definitely stay in touch with me, and we'll try to get it set up.
Yeah, definitely. So I know you're waders right now, and you were doing some duck hunting. How's it been duck hunting going on this season?
Man, it's been a little bit of a tough season. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of people out there hunting, and we haven't had a whole lot of very cold weather, or a whole lot of weather really in general, to shuffle the deck and move the birds around. So a lot of the birds that we're hunting are the same birds that were here a month ago. And so as a result, they're getting really, really bright and really smart and a little bit hard to kill. But nonetheless, I've enjoyed this season, and we got only 2 weeks left now, and I'm getting ready, and I'm ready to get to fishing again.
Nice, man. That is exciting. I love the fact that you do so much for the kayak fishing community and also the hunting community. I recently, one of your posts, and I shared it with a couple of people because I thought it was important. The way you talked about how to help out new hunters out there. There's a tendency to say, what is this guy doing? This doesn't work that way. And we can, tensions can get high when you're out there either hunting or fishing. But you stressed a lot about, reaching out and helping other people learn when you see a new hunter, a new fishing, kind of like break the unwritten rules, go out there and talk to them and kind of help them educate in the right way. And that speaks a lot about your personality and the way that it affects the community, both in the hunting and the fishing community.
Yeah. I mean, the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of people, because as a result of COVID and everything, that are wanting to get outside, and that's a good thing. We want people outside. We want people hunting. We want people fishing. There's plenty of birds for everybody. But because there's a lot of new people out there, there's also a lot of people that are a little bit more uneducated and don't really know any better. And it's important, if you see something going on that shouldn't be going on, it's important to talk to people and have difficult conversations every now and then. And what I've found a lot of times with new hunters, they're very happy to listen to you. I'm not saying that's always the case, but most of the time they're happy to listen to you and they're happy to take your advice. And it's, I mean, I know in the few altercations that I've had in the past couple of years, I say altercation, that's probably not the right word, but in the last few encounters that I've had with new hunters that I've actually had the opportunity to talk to, it's all gone well and it's all been very respectful.
That's good, man. That's good. And again, we love what you're doing out there, not just on the water, but off the water. Like I said, you're helping the community grow in a friendly, and the camaraderie gets better when it's surrounded like people like yourself and other great anglers out there that really appreciate, the community and show respect for it. And it helps it grow. Once the community starts growing, if you're there for the competitive side of it, the community grows, then the paychecks grow, the fans grow, the sponsors grow. And that's a good thing, and even if you're not doing it for the competitive, just having people out there join the community, whether it's hunting or fishing, but, find it that could be, and it should be a friendly environment. It helps you enjoy the day, whether you're doing competitively or you're doing it as a leisure. So, Guillermo, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're out there. You just got out of duck hunting, or at least doing some scouting for duck hunting. You're still on your way to this. You're sitting on your car. You're hungry. You're tired. So I really appreciate the time that you took to join the podcast. It's been an honor to have you here, man. We wish you the best for this season and beyond. We're looking forward to what you're gonna do on the water. I'm personally gonna be rooting for you on the TLC representing Fort Worth, and also the Bassmaster Classic that's gonna be here in our hometown of Fort Worth. So thank you again for joining us. Before I let you go, I want to give you a few minutes for you to thank any of your sponsors, family members, friends that have helped you and shaped you throughout your hunting and fishing career.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a lot of people to thank. Really, I'm so blessed, and I'm surrounded by so many wonderful people in this sport, and people that have given me a chance. And I really want to take the time. Of course, I want to thank my family. My family's always been so supportive. And, I think for a little while, they thought I was kind of crazy when I decided that I really wanted to competitively kayak fish. But I think, over the years, they've seen how much I love it and how much success I've had. And they've really gained a respect for the sport. And, I am looking forward to really seeing the sport continue to grow as more and more people gain a respect for the sport. But, of course, I also have to thank, I have some really good sponsors, back in the day when I was a nobody and nobody knew who I was, Megan and Thomas from Diablo Paddlesports decided to give me a chance, and I was so thankful for that. And and I've been fishing out of their boat ever since, and I've really enjoyed it. And so I specifically would really like to thank them, and of course people like Excite Baits, St. Croix Rods, Sea Deck Marine Non-Skid, Gerber Tools, and Backwoods, of course. Backwoods and Backwoods Adventure. They're extremely helpful, and I would encourage everybody to come check out our shop when they're here for the Classic in Fort Worth. We've got a lot of cool stuff that applies to kayak fishing and just fishing in general. And so I would encourage everyone to go check them out. And who knows, I might even be over there.
Yeah. When I've gone to Backwoods, I've actually seen you there, and the place is really friendly. The people are really nice and very informative. Not just you, but every people that I've talked to over there in Backwoods have been super nice and super friendly. It's a great company for sure. Reflects on their employees and how they treat their customers.
For sure, my friend.
And also, Backwood has a little kayak rental up in the Trinity River, right? That belongs to Backwoods as well.
Yep, that is Backwoods. That's Backwoods Paddle Sports, and that's getting more and more popular every year. And if you know what's cool, if you want to fish the Trinity and you don't have a kayak, you can, and you want to try kayak fishing, you can go and rent a kayak for a little bit and go catch a few fish. The concession is in one of the best areas in the Trinity River to fish. So, I mean, you're already right there in a good spot, ready to catch them.
Yeah, it's a nice spot and a nice place. And again, real friendly people out there. I think they have is it the PA-14 or the PA-12 they have for rent?
I know they had one at least. I don't know if they still do, but I know they did for a while.
Yeah, I think I remember when I went over there, they had the PA, and I was like, man, that's a good kayak to rent to fish for a couple of hours. So, Guillermo, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. Have a safe drive home, man. And like I said, we'll be rooting for you and watching what you do this year.
Thank you so much, Armando. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Definitely, man. Hope we get you on the podcast when you win the TOC or the Bassmaster Classics for sure.
Sounds good, man. Thank you again.
No problem.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com.